introduce yourself, bud?
My name is Andrew Melling. I am a heavyweight bodybuilder from Toronto, Canada.
Okay, and what's your height and weight, bud?
Height, what did we measure me at last time? I think it was, 5'11", 5'11 and a half.
Okay.
Last stage weight, 218, 218 pounds. Off season, maybe 250, 260. And age, 34 years old.
Okay, and your last show was
My last show was the 2017 Ben Weider Legacy Cup in Toronto.
Okay, how'd you do there, bud?
I placed third in the men's heavyweight. Very happy about that placing.
Okay, some good competition.
Very good competition.
Yeah.
Stacked classes. Guys from all over Canada, North America, Canada, U.S., Mexico, Caribbean, Barbados, Bahamas, all over the place. Really, really talented guys. So I'm very happy with that placing.
North America still too, weren't they? Or
Sorry?
I mean, North American guys were up there too, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, Canada, U.S., Mexico. Yep. It was a really, really great show. First time I've ever stood on stage with international athletes, so that was kind of special for me. I've always only competed at Canadian shows, so it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, some of those guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Impressive. Go ahead and tell us a little about I know it's a very small workout today because we're going to be doing a photo shoot here, but tell us a little about the movements you did and what you like about each movement.
So when we came in, I wanted to just get some blood moving around, get a little bit pumped up for the shoot. So I usually like to do chest, shoulders, a little bit of arms. I find that for the photo shoot, that's going to give you your best bang for your buck in terms of a little pump. So we started with my favorite chest movement, which is incline hammer press. And I just find that I get a really good squeeze, I move blood around really well, and the angle of those hammer machines is perfect, especially when you can start from your shoulder. The following movement was machine lateral raise for the shoulders, and I find that that is better than the dumbbells for me because it locks you into position. It kind of forces your wrist to be locked into place, and I like the way that I can get a good squeeze at the top with that machine. The dumbbell curls followed that. Again, just kind of a standard bicep movement, good to get a little pump. And I started pretty light, just coming off of the show. You know, we use some diuretics to dry out and stuff like that, so my tendons and my joints are a little bit fragile, so I start light, get a good little pump, and that's, yeah.
And then you finish with what, chest?
Yeah, cable crossovers, and that was mostly for dramatic effect. I get the cables to cross over, get some chest detail coming out, and maybe make some faces and look good for the pictures.
Good deal. So off camera we were talking a little bit about, but do you mind going into like your background stuff?
Sure, yeah.
You've done a lot.
I've done a bunch of things. So I grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is on the east coast of Canada. Nova Scotia is kind of a big peninsula. It's almost an island, but not quite. It's still attached to a province called New Brunswick. So I grew up there. I lived there until I was 17 years old. Went to high school there and all that. I moved to Burlington to live with my dad for one more year of high school because they originally had a grade 13 option, and I didn't really know what I wanted to go to school for, so I thought that was a good place to continue on. I didn't really know anybody, so I was completely focused on school, which was good because I was distracted in Halifax with, you know, parties and whatnot. So after that, I joined the Canadian Army, and I did my basic training in northern Manitoba, one of the provinces in the prairies, over that summer following the grade 13 year. And after that, I returned to University of Guelph, where I did the computer sciences program. I was hired at a software development company out of school, and it's the same company that I work for today, and we develop software for the architectural industry.
What part of the military, what did you focus on when you were in?
I was in the infantry, so it was technically my trade, as they call it in the military, was a signal operator. So setting up radio towers and antennas and stuff like that. But everybody in the Canadian military goes through the same basic training, the same boot camp. So because I was under the infantry umbrella, we did all the same things that the infantry guys do. So it was a lot of fun. I had some great memories. At the time, it didn't seem like a lot of fun because it was a lot of hard work and you know, long days, especially in the prairies. It got very hot in the day, very cold at night. But it was a great experience. I learned a lot, and I miss it, to be honest. I miss the Army.
And how about the MMA? Can you tell us a little
Okay,
about
yes.
that?
So after returning to school from the military, I had some health problems while I was in the University of Guelph, and it kind of forced me out of the bodybuilding gym. I had sort of gotten into bodybuilding out of high school, but I had to stop around that time. and I got into mixed martial arts because I found that the cardio was good for me. It kept me away from the heavy weights, so I wasn't risking a lot of injury to my joints and whatnot. And I fell in love specifically with Thai boxing, Muay Thai. I love Thai boxing so much. I also did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and American wrestling, and I did that for, I would say, 6 years, very intensely, every day. And when I was hired at the software company in Toronto, in the building that the software company was in, there was a Good Life, which is a very popular gym in Canada. And I would walk by every day to get to my office, and I would hear the plates clanging, and I would smell the rubber mats. And I just thought, you know what? I miss bodybuilding so much. I love it so much. I've got to return. So I stopped doing the martial arts so frequently, and I got back into the gym. And probably a year after I got back in the gym, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna commit to do a show. I've always wanted to. So that's it. And I picked my first show. They call it regionals in Canada, level 1, or at least they had until this point. It was a show I picked in November of 2013, and I picked that show in 2011. So since that point, I was just getting ready for that one show, and I was able to put on enough muscle and bring in some conditioning, and I won my class at that show. So it was a great thing, but it was also a terrible thing, because then I was hooked, and I've been picking shows and doing more shows ever since. This most recent show, the Ben Weider, was my fifth show, and I had a great time, and I plan more shows for taking a run for the pro card as soon as I'm ready.
Yeah. And you should have, if everything goes as planned, more opportunities. So
absolutely, yeah. Lots of changes in Canada right now with the IFBB Pro League being the umbrella to our newly formed CPA, which is the Canadian Physique Alliance, Canada-wide counterpart to the NPC. And I'm really excited because there's a lot more opportunities, a lot more chances for pro cards, and more fair advancement opportunities. There's less levels of competition. Previously, there were so many things you had to qualify for and do the next step, and requalify and do the next step. And at the Canadian Nationals, which is our only opportunity to get a pro card, they awarded a pro card to the overall winner, and that's it. So it was very difficult for us to get a pro card in Canada.
Where people here know in the States, it's just
exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah, North America's, they're giving them away 2 per class, and yeah, exactly. So
many opportunities.
Yeah. So we're going to be more mirroring the. Actually, I think we're identically mirroring the NPC now in Canada, which all of us are very excited about. So.
Yeah, because you guys have there's a lot of great athletes.
A lot of talent, a lot of guys that have been held back for one reason or another, and really, there's a lot of guys that should be pro already. Yeah. So it's very exciting. Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of talent come out of Toronto.
Yeah, absolutely. In Canada, yeah, exactly.
In the next few years.
Yeah.
How did you get into? What drove you into the industry in the beginning? What originally when you started?
It's kind of a classic "she was mean to me" story. When I was in high school, there was, I mean, like any other young guy, you know, I was trying to get attention of girls and stuff like that. I came from a poor neighborhood. It was pretty rough where I grew up, and there wasn't a lot of opportunities, and the economy was bad and stuff. So, frankly, I was kind of malnourished. I was a very, very skinny kid, to the point where people would make comments about how skinny I was, and you know, I was very self-conscious about that, and I didn't. There wasn't much I could do about it myself, being so young. You know, I just kind of was the result of my environment. So. When I was in high school, there was this, you know, one of the popular girls that I wanted to get the attention of, and she had made a comment to one of my friends about how she would be interested in me if I weren't so skinny. And of course, you know, something snapped in my brain, and I thought, I'm just gonna get muscular and I'm gonna grow. So I got a part-time job at McDonald's. It was my first job, and the reason why I got the job was so I could afford to buy my own food and my own supplements, and I was driven, and it didn't take long before the reason was not the girl anymore. I got really passionate about gaining muscle and having control over my body, and being able to manipulate the look so I could be proud of myself, and it just started from there, and it snowballed, and I lost track of the girl years ago, of course, but yeah, that's how it started for me, and it became kind of a place for me to return to. It was always there. The gym was always there. No matter what was going on in my life, I could return to the gym, and the progress that I made at the gym was a result of my work, and nobody could take that away from me. So it was very important. It's been kind of a therapy for me my whole life. So I think I'll be certainly in the gym for the rest of my life. After I stop competing, I'll still be training.
So tell everyone the story about when you told me when you first came here, bud, because we're about to shoot here, but I didn't remember that. You told me that when you first came.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So years ago, this was prior to my first show. And my training partner at the time, Stefan Caron, he's an IFBB pro as well. He had taken me to a gym in Toronto called Fitness 365. It's still there, wonderful gym. And it's near the airport. And we were there training. And I believe his girlfriend at the time was taking photos of us. And of course, I was timid and shy. I had never had photos taken of me, and I hadn't done a show, so I was just getting into proper training and eating, and I was under his wing, and you were there shooting some big dudes, you know. I believe they were pros. They were tanned up. They had just done a show. I was blown away by the guys. I thought, wow, you know, I had never really seen pros in person with my own eyes, and I thought, these guys are monsters. And I saw you shooting them, and Stefan had spoken with you for a minute, and we just talked really briefly. I think I made a crack about how I'm going to shoot with you someday, and I was serious. I really wanted to be in a position where I was going to be able to shoot with you, and now here we are today. This is now, I mean, geez, this is 5 years later, 5-6 years later. So here we are, and I'm pumped.
Congratulations.
Thank
bud.
you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. We've had this plan since June. So
Yep.
good luck
well
with
in advance.
The future shows and everything.
Thank you.
Goes well, you do snag one of those pro cards.
I hope so. I'm gonna try. Next year is a big push for size. I feel like I bring a lot of symmetry and shape and conditioning, which is wonderful. But now my next barrier to get through to take a run for the top spot will be more size. So we're going to put on a lot of size.
And I think definitely your aesthetics are going to play to your favor.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I think you have, which is more difficult for people. A lot of guys can size.
Something you can't train. Yeah, exactly.
You either have it or you don't. So I think you'll benefit well. You put on the size, maintain what you have, and
yeah.
your aesthetics. And
Thank you. I hope so. Yeah, and I hope to bring something a little bit different than the other guys, so I can stand out a little bit. But yeah, definitely push for size, and then we're going to take a run for the top spot. So
good deal, man.